objectives. The supply chain that drives manufacturing and whether it's in a state that it can support this desire as well, including environmental impact. So our scope was very limited to participants, I would say, in the manufacturing ecosystem. And then key to it all is local manufacturers who were already working. They were in existence, they were producing, they had a record with the Food and Drugs Authority, Environmental Protection Agency Authority, and the Pharmacy Council. There were, in Ghana, we have over 48 registered companies, but I would say, about 12 of them are not yet producing, so we're limited to working with 36 of them. Out of these 36, some were only producing parenterals like infusions, so of course they did not take part in this study. We used the qualitative approach that did desk research, key informant interviews, stakeholder interviews, and then field visits to the selected industries. In all, 11 out of the industries that expressed willingness to participate, we contacted them. Eventually, 8 participated in the study. And then when it came to the ecosystem, regulatory, quality assurance, those entities, out of those ministries, that's the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Trade and Industry, Agribusiness and Innovation, as well as agencies under these ministries taking part in this study. Next slide. Ghana, we currently, when it comes to HIV, we have a total of about 334,000. Children form 5.4%, the rest are adults. National prevalence 2024 results 1.49%. Females carry the major burden 2.14%, and males 0.85%. When it comes to meeting our UN targets, 95 targets, as at end of last year, we are 68, 69, 90. You can see that, yes, we are identifying clients, we are putting them on ART, and importantly, whenever we put someone on ART, it's very likely that we'll get parallel suppression, so we have 90% there. But ART coverage is still low, 47% of adults and 35% of children that have been identified and diagnosed as positive. Next slide. West Africa, this is our burden. We have over among all the West African countries, we have over 3.3 million citizens affected by HIV. Last year, throughout this average, we spent over $400 million taking care of HIV commodities. Next slide. To meet treatment and care needs. Next slide, please. So Ghana, when it comes to HIV in Ghana, over 74% of our commodities are funded by donors. Government of Ghana takes care of 26%. Most of this allocation goes to ARVs, and then the rest, other commodities like condoms, lubricants, and test kits. Next slide. So the results. So can our local industries take up this challenge of producing ARVs and other HIV commodities? Let's see what we heard from them. So yes, from the facilities visited, I mentioned 8 facilities. 7 of them were pharmaceutical. 1 was a producer of test kits. So we do have infrastructure that can support ARV manufacturing and then test kit manufacturing as well as lubricant manufacturing, because the existing manufacturers, several of them produce fixed dose combination tablets, which are made up of multiple active ingredients. And so once they are doing fixed dose combination tablets, you can expect that they can be able to do the fixed dose combination tablets that we have for ARVs as well. Those that are producing ointments and creams, they can also likewise do lubricants. Condoms, test kits, I mentioned there's a factory in Ghana that is doing test kits. They are fighting hard to get WHO pre-qualification so that they can provide supplies to the rest of Africa. And then condoms, we do have raw rubber, but we don't have any converting facility to produce condoms or gloves out of the rubber. So yes, there's existing infrastructure, and very importantly, we do have factories that have currently, I would say, they meet the highest standards for GMP, and with support of other partners. Several of the factories, industries that we engage are also working hard to improve their infrastructure. But critical gaps that we observed was that specialized maintenance for some of these industries, a lot of them come from outside. And then, as I mentioned, when it comes to test kits, we only have one facility. That's it. That's it. So infrastructure ready, quite a number. Ghana has a GMP roadmap that is supervised by the FDA and other agencies like the EPA, etc. And all of this roadmap is strictly being promoted by the Pharmaceutical Manufacturers Association of Ghana. So a lot of the industries are following it religiously, and quite a number of them are making progress consistently. State-of-the-art facilities. At the moment, there are about 3 entities, Entrance, Pharmanova, Atlantic Life Sciences. They have very relatively brand new facilities that are up there, but most importantly, a lot of the other entities are also putting up new plants that will meet WHO pre-qualification when it comes to production. But as I mentioned, critical gap exists with technical expertise for HVAC, and other sensitive instrumentation maintenance. And so, where that is concerned, we need more local entities taking up those roles. Skilled workforce, yes, that is readily available. Indeed, most of the industries visited, majority of the workforce are Ghanaian. They do have a few expatriates, but largely everything is being done by the Ghanaian workforce. Most of them all of them run GMP exercises consistently to ensure that they remain progressive on the GMP roadmap that the FDA supervises them on. And then there is a strong foundation in fixed dose combination. As I mentioned, quite a number of them all produce very different fixed dose combination products, and so they can take up this challenge of ARV products as well. So technical expertise, general production and GMP compliance, very high. Fixed dose combination formulation, several of them out of the ones that we visited, they are all doing it, so we considered it as medium. The challenge and where we found gaps were the bioequivalence technique design, where a lot of them don't have that capacity, and then also when it comes to the WHO dossier, pre-qualification dossier preparation. Only one facility, as we speak, is currently involved in seeking WHO pre-qualification for a product that they are manufacturing. The rest are yet to initiate any such activity. Next slide. Workforce competency. I've mentioned the fact that we realize that they all have very strong general GMP skills. They all have qualified pharmacists, chemists, and other allied technical personnel who can support production. But the major gap is with WHO pre-qualification and then also advanced equipment maintenance. Next slide. Ghana has a very robust regime, regulatory regime, quality assurance regime. Our FDA is currently maturity level 3, and that means that it exacts very rigorous expectations from industry. So yes, level 3 regulator ensuring robust national oversight. But unfortunately, as I mentioned, no Ghanaian firm has yet achieved WHO pre-qualification for any of their products, and none has initiated any such activity for ARVs. Meanwhile, we know that this is a critical item for donor support or donor procurement. But when it comes to sovereignty and local procurement, I believe that that is something that can be discussed and overcome. Progressively, Entrance Pharma has developed CTD dossiers and doing other engagements to be able to achieve WHO pre-qualification for a product. And they and several other of industries listed are working hard to upgrade their facilities to meet pre-qualification standards. When it comes to diagnostics, there is one facility which is ICASA. It's located in the middle of the country, that is Kumasi. And they are producing test kits, and their quality management system adheres to ISO 13485.2016, which means that they are that high level there. Currently, they are working to engage a consultant to help them with the mutual pre-qualification. Next slide. So facility readiness, I mentioned entrance, Atlantic Life Sciences for Manova, ICAS is also there, but quite a number, Leta, LNG, Kina Pharma, NS Chemists, they are all working hard to set up new industries. And there are other new ones that are also working hard to initiate production from very new facilities, new agencies that are now coming to join the pharmaceutical manufacturing ecosystem. Next slide. So supply chain, unfortunately, is a challenge here because most APIs for manufacturing are all imported. We had one manufacturer of APIs in the country, but I think that in the past few years, business has gone down, so that has slowed down. So currently, all the manufacturing entities in Ghana, they import their APIs from India, from China, and other places. So that dependence on imported APIs is a big risk that needs to be navigated. When it comes to formulation, as I mentioned, they all have capacity for fixed dose, but certainly with any new initiative, technical transfer, expertise transfer is encouraged. And all the manufacturing companies we talk to have alliances and partnerships with outside companies, and they can easily get that technology transfer to start ARV production. There's a local bioequivalence center recently established, I think about 2 or so years ago. So it means that now bioequivalence studies can be conducted in Ghana, and manufacturers in Ghana don't have to do bioequivalence from other places in the world. Regional distribution is being given a boost. So regional distribution of products do exist. Indeed, I would say all the 8 companies that we engaged out of the 11 contacted, all 8 of them sell outside Ghana. So the ECOWAS market is their market, and they supply good quality products to this market very satisfactorily. Next slide. Diagnostics, I mentioned, Ghana is ready because we have one agency that is already in the process, and it is working hard to achieve the WHO pre-qualification. And it's doing that by engaging the technical experts to support their documentation efforts. Next slide. Investment and market viability. Yes, there's a growing need for ARVs, as we saw from the earlier slides about demand. The whole of the West Africa region, as at the end of 2024, had over 3 billion PLHIVs. Out of this 3 billion, all those countries together spent over $400 million procuring ARVs and other HIV commodities. So certainly, there is a big market. Even in Ghana, last year we spent over $40 million. Based on National AIDS Control Program and Ghana AIDS Commission projections, in the next few years, this is going to go up to about $48 million. This is good enough market. But then, the challenge is most of these commodities, as I slide earlier showed, they are all provided by donors. And donors who buy for WHO pre-qualify. Government of Ghana's purchase is only 26% of the 40 million spent. And government of Ghana, maybe with procurement guarantees, can help create a dynamic market and get the local manufacturers very interested and then motivated to start production. Unfortunately, a lot of the manufacturers I mentioned, they are doing upgrades, and upgrades are high capital intensive endeavors. So that is, and so most of them are seeking blended finance, so soft finance, grant support, low interest loans, so that they can do the upgrade and then help the countries in West Africa to achieve commodity sovereignty by buying what is made locally here. Next slide, please. So FDA licensing is integrated with EPA permits, and EPA first and foremost to ensure that all these agencies they measure up to the environmental expectations. If you don't measure up to it, they will not give you your license, and you don't even progress to the next level where FDA will come and inspect and then give approval for you. So yes, the processes, the ecosystem stakeholders, FDA, EPA, Ghana Standards Authority, Pharmacy Council, etc., they are there to guard and ensure that setup, implementation, operationalization, they all adhere to required environmental impact expectations, and then they need to suit up. The industry certainly is viable in the long term, but challenges again are the cost competitiveness and then continuous government support. So when we align these things, it is our belief that the industries in Ghana can measure up and then provide ARVs for use by the health sector in this country. Next slide. So the path to sustainability and self-reliance, first and foremost, very clear policy incentives. In Ghana, fortunately, there's a trade policy that is promoting local manufacture, recently revised, and now there's a very new strategy. This strategy complements other existing documents like the GMP roadmap, as well as health sector initiatives. And these all drive, they have a strong focus on quality assurance, but what is lacking is government guarantees for procurement. And once it is our belief that when guarantees for procurement are established, it will motivate local manufacturers to enter into this area and produce and assure commodity health security for citizens in Ghana and then beyond. Thank you very much. So at this juncture, questions and answers. I know that we have moved very quickly, but I believe that you were listening rapidly, and so you have your thoughts being organized to pose questions. To help me answer your questions, I invite a few stakeholders to join me up here. First is Lucia Adey, the Executive Secretary of the Pharmaceutical Association of Ghana. Dr. Angela Akon, she is the Technical Officer, Integrated Service Delivery, WHO Ghana Office. Ghana, this year we passed the agenda affirmative action bill, so it's important that the ladies come first. So now it's my pleasure to also invite a couple of gentlemen, Dr. Janjay Tripathi, the CEO of Amanova Limited, and Dr. Xavier Ibuche, the Acting Director of Pharmaceutical Services, Ministry of Health. Okay. So the Q&A format. Ladies, gentlemen, you are most welcome to this Saturday session. Sorry, I missed one very important colleague. Quincy. He's from the Ministry of Trade and Industry, and he's in charge of the pharmaceutical manufacturing program office. So let me use my privilege as the presenter and moderator to start asking the questions. But rest assured, I'll come back to you and make a few questions from you as well. So having heard the presentation, having seen the facts on the ground, which is that pharmaceutical manufacturers in Ghana have indicated and indeed have shown that they have the infrastructure, they have the technical expertise. They are only seeking some support to be able to produce ARVs and other HIV commodities. From the policy perspective, seeing that our ART coverage is still below 50%, How does the Ministry of Health, and then so Dr. Xavier and then Quincy, this question goes to the two of you. How does the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Trade and Industry see local ARV production contributing to achieving the 95 targets and the national health commodity security? So, Dr. Ibucha, if you can start, and then Quincy can follow up.
Thank you very much. First of all, I want to thank you for the opportunity given to the Ministry of Health to be on this panel. And then the detailed work that you have done, trying to give us a situational analysis of phosphate production in Ghana. I want to say that the Ministry of Health sees the production of ARVs as one of the crucial steps to be self-sustaining. It is aligned with the government agenda. If you look at our national medicine policy, it is the aspiration of a sector that one day will be self-sufficient in producing the medicines we need. And ARV is one of them. And ARV has been produced in Ghana before by Canadians, if my memory serves me right. So I agree with your finding that we have the capacity in Ghana to produce the ARVs that we need to achieve our 95%. The ministry is currently working with the Ministry of Trade and Industry Business to enhance the production of pharmaceuticals, including the ARVs. So the Ministry of Health actually put premium on it because when the donor funds run out, we have to manage our own situation. And so therefore, there's the need for us to ensure product security by locally manufacturing it, and also making sure that the security of the supply chain is enhanced, jobs are created, and import substitution that is envisaged in the new policy that is going to be launched very soon is achieved. Thank you.
Mr. Kwesi Oforientri from the Ministry of Trade. So, having heard that there is an existing policy and a new one for that matter about to be launched soon, maybe you can tell us what policy levers or fiscal incentives are being considered to encourage domestic manufacturing of ARVs and then HIV diagnostic and other HIV commodities.
Thank you very much. And thank you for the opportunity given to the Ministry of Trade and Business and Industry to be part of this panel discussion. So, like Mr. Noguchi rightly said, we have a draft policy for the pharmaceutical manufacturing sector, soon to be approved by the cabinet for implementation. Now, the policy covers almost all the sectors within the pharmaceutical sector, including medicines, manufacturing, medical devices, and others that are within the supply chain. Basically, the Ministry of Trade and Industry is looking at driving investment into the sector, whether for expansion or for new businesses or new investments altogether within the pharma space. And it also cut across the value chain, being raw materials, being manufacturing, and even packaging. In so doing, we are working with the Ministry of Finance to align targeted incentives that will help drive investment into the sector. And we are looking at issues to develop tax waivers for the importation of raw materials, machines, and equipment. And it is for the development of the value chains again. And we are even looking at how R&D can also benefit from these incentives. So if you are within the R&D space, we should be getting waivers on the import duties and other levies on the importation of R&D kits that will help you come up with innovative products. We're also looking at how they can get some tax waivers on their machinery equipment, as well as the raw materials that we are looking at, and also look at how we can accelerate the depreciation on the plant machinery equipment that are coming in. So basically, these are some highlights of the incentives that are captured within the policy.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Ferengi. And I believe that industry will be happy to hear about these upcoming opportunities to do more. Now, our next question goes, we've heard about the readiness of industry to take up this challenge. Our question goes to the Lady Lucy Adai, who represents the Pharmaceutical Manufacturers Association of Ghana, that having heard the readiness, from your standpoint, what are the key challenges that still prevent companies from initiating production of ARVs and other HIV commodities? What other issues are going to be heard that maybe the presentation did not talk about, that you believe that, or you believe must be emphasized?
Thank you so much. My name is Lady Lucia. I bring you greetings from my president, Fima, somewhere to it, and also the board. And thank you to the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Trade, and the panel. My boss, Mr. Party, is here. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I think that to be able to have production of ARV, you need to look at the ecosystem which you mentioned. In having the ecosystem, most manufacturers want to know questions like what products are they supposed to make, because the landscape changes a bit rapidly every now and then. They will want to know what the quantities are, so data comes to play. They will want to know who is paying for it, for the ARV. If it's donors funded, who's paying for it, if it's government, where's the finance coming from? Are the payments going to be prompt? So this will feed into what capacity you build for these kind of productions, which are a little specialized. And of course, as we mentioned, that we've done this before, and we are ready to be able to do this. It will be good to have some incentives, which would include, like what we see as mentioned, VAT exemption on the raw materials, because will come from Asia, and machinery that will be used for this. It will be important to have some market guarantees, because if you are going to produce a million, the government is buying 100,000, when are you going to sell the rest? So there needs to be some market guarantee, either for the country Ghana or some other country, so that economies of scale can favor our country to be more competitive. Affordable finance will also help. So these are some of the things I can think of, and several other things that will make the ecosystem everyone knows.
Okay. Thank you very much, Lady Lucia. And since we have industry participants here, Dr. Tripathi from Anova, what type of investment, since you have upgraded facilities and setting up new facilities, what type of investments do you think are most urgent to enable industry to make ARVs and other HIV commodities?
Thank you very much. I would like to thank you for your comprehensive presentation about the HIV drugs in the sector. So when it comes to the financing, of course, there are some of the finances are available, which looks like our industry will try to take advantage of that. What we have done the local commercial rate interest support from one of the private sector bank, and we have started building the new factory. We are going to produce most of the program drugs, including the HIV drugs also. At present, we are importing HIV drugs, the combination TLD, tenofovir, lamivudine, and dolutegravir combinations, supplying to the government not only in Ghana, to several other countries. So our priority to do is the backward integration. How soon we can do that product local manufacturing. Looking at an environment with our experience in the pharmaceutical sector, we can assure to the government that maybe by end of the 2026, Ghana will start production, the HIV drugs, the single therapy as well as combination therapy. Now it will leave to the government, because as much as we do local production with all regulatory compliance, including the bioequivalence study of the combination drugs, what happens is a procurement. we all know that Global Fund has, USAID has withdrawn the support for some of these commodities. So we see as a private sector there is some opportunity, but we have to see, truly speaking, whether it is really available or not. Because we register our product at the same time when we see that the global fund supply is on. So that also maybe will request to the government to look at it, how they can provide some kind of the market commitment, advance commitment.
Thank you.
It's not that you make investment and then you are lost along the line.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Tripati. And last question to the panelists goes to Angela. Having heard policy is now being aligned, industry is positioned, as Dr. Tripati mentioned, 2026, they are ready to start ARV production. What are WHO's recommendations to ensure that quality, safety, efficacy standards remain uncompromised while promoting local production and local sovereignty?
Thank you very much for that question, David. And I really appreciate the work that was done, the feasibility study that was done, and the findings from that study, which actually, in my opinion, are quite encouraging. Now, when we speak about quality, WHO pre-qualification, for instance, of products, I believe that you will agree with me that just attaining maturity level, incremental maturity level is not enough to actually determine or ensure that the products that are on the market are quality, safe, and efficacious. One key recommendation that WHO will always insist on is for manufacturers to demonstrate that by their activities in their manufacturing facilities or factories, they are actually implementing and maintaining WHO good manufacturing practice. And in demonstrating that, you should ensure that your processes are validated, you have robust quality management systems, and you have standard operating procedures documented. Once those are established, and it's not an achievement, it's not an end, it is actually a process, so it should be maintained. That's one. Two, you should be able to also leverage on third-party inspections or audits from time to time. You know that in Ghana, for instance, and many other countries, inspection of facilities, manufacturing facilities done by the regulatory authority, but then we encourage that in as much as you have the opportunity and have the links, you can also leverage on third-party inspections just to ensure that those processes and systems you've put in place to meet WHO GMP compliance are actually maintained. Another key point that we must keep in mind is to do with post-market surveillance, because when those products are produced and churned onto the market, it's human beings taking it, it's human beings producing it. Yes, we have systems in place, validated, aligned to international standards, but we need to ensure that the batches going into the market are doing what they're supposed to do. They are as pure as possible. They are aligned to the quality and safety standards that were intended at the time of production. And that brings me into pharmacovigilance systems, where we should encourage countries to build and sustain robust pharmacovigilance systems to monitor adverse drug reactions, adverse events following immunizations, and things like that. So maybe
I think you've been very clear. Unless there's something amiss, someone should correct or prompt her. But I think that she's been very, very clear that yes, Ghana, we do have a robust regulator with maturity level 3 who make sure that the systems in place are agile, they are up to the required standard, and they are guiding our industries to do the right thing. So, Dr. Angela, thank you very much. Audience, is there a particular issue that hasn't been touched upon before I invite the Director General of the Ghana AIDS Commission to also share some remarks? Anyone has a question? Okay.
My name is Isaiah, and I'm so much interested in seeing ARVs manufactured in Ghana. But having heard from the ministries and the industry players, I want to know, is there any relationship between the industry players, those who will be manufacturing the government, so that they can take advantage of each other as we speak? Because what I realize that policies are there, and they might be in the ministries and all that, but the actual, what are the synergies between to ensure that within the shortest possible time,
Something can happen.
Something can happen based on the studies. Because it appears to me that most of the things, there are still some inertia between all the speakers. It's not linking up for me.
Thank you very much. So I believe that earlier in the presentation, I mentioned the fact that the ecosystem is being improved, the policies are aligned, and then very importantly, within the Ministry of Trade and Industry, there is the manufacturing project team led by Physiophrology, which is making sure that the policy doesn't just rest on shelves but gets moved along. They actually have another office within the AFTA Secretariat, coordinating office there as well to support local industries in Ghana to meet standards in the regional market so that they can produce and supply in the regional markets as well. So that's in a nutshell. If I've spoken for them, that is the effort that the government of Ghana is making to make sure that the policy doesn't just rest somewhere, but it's aligned to reality on the ground, and then regulator consents, etc., established. So those units will drive the policies that have been rolled out now. One last input, then the DG will have to come in. Okay, very quick one, please. Our time is up. I can see 4 hands up. Okay.
Thank you so much. What is the role of AU in all this? And also, is indeed more feasible to look at markets in terms of Africa, not just ECOWAS? Thank you.
Mr. Kwesi, what's the role of